If I am in the Rams room and this is my plan, if I could get something out of Stafford, example being a first-round pick, a high first-round pick. For example, the Giants. The Giants are picking at third or fourth, not really in the spot to get a quarterback, but they need a quarterback soon. If they're able to flip Stafford for that, I think, fourth overall pick in the draft, maybe the plan is this. Maybe the plan is you acquire that pick. You don't necessarily need a player at fourth overall, but you could trade down, acquire assets, look to put yourself in a position with multiple picks and multiple opportunities to trade up, trade down. All of a sudden, the Rams, who used to be in draft hell, not having any picks available because of all the trades they made, now all of a sudden they could give themselves a plethora of picks, not to rebuild, but to retool.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, you don't want to wait till Stafford retires, and then you're sitting there waiting to see who the next answer is going to be. I think they're maybe being a little proactive about this, capitalizing on value. Is it the right move? No. Do I see the vision? Maybe. If the Giants, and the weird part is I bring up the Giants because I think the Giants should do this. If he's available, that fourth overall pick in the NBA, in the NFL draft, I think you do it.
Okay.
I think you ship it
for
off.
For 2 years?
For Stafford?
Yeah,
you
for 2
pay
years.
the money.
Okay.
Here's why. Because the Giants are sitting there, and they got the Joe Shane, Brian Dables of the world, who, if it doesn't work out, and it doesn't work out quickly, they're going to be gone before the new year. They're going to be gone before the new year. So if they're sitting there thinking, all right, well, if we don't get results quickly,
right,
then we're in a lot of trouble. All right, well, who is a player that can make the team from bad to pretty good? Matthew Stafford, I think, could be in that realm. He is good enough to make a team that honestly has some talent pretty good. They've just never been able to figure out the quarterback. I think it's worth it. I don't know if the fourth pick, Giants are not solving any they're not curing cancer with that fourth pick. I think off of that, I think it might be worth it just for the sense of the Giants giving some sense of stability and for the Rams capitalizing on value.
Would Matthew want to go to the Giants?
Why not?
Okay.
Yeah, why wouldn't
would he? Okay.
He pays the money.
Okay.
You're only going to be there for 2-3 years, I assume, before he's interested in retiring. I think from that perspective, if you're looking to express your trade value, then you want to get out of LA. Go where?
And you saw the Commanders be able to turn. I know that was a tremendous turnaround by Washington. I'm not saying the Giants can do that, but you saw the Commanders lose 10, 12 games to end the year 2 years ago, and then make an NFC Championship game. The NFL is a weird league because if you get things wrong, Colin, you're going to pay for it dearly. Just ask a lot of the bad teams in the NFL. But it also is a league where you could turn things around remotely quickly if you get the right things in place. I still don't know if it was the right move to bring back Dable and Sheen for New York, but I think Matthew Stafford will help any team that he goes to, including the New York Giants. Stafford on the Giants automatically, I think, puts them in the range of 6-7 wins. Now, they got to make the right decisions, Colin, but if they get the right pieces around them.
It just solves the ultimate problem.
It does.
The Giants have had the ultimate problem of quarterback.
Since Eli, and I could argue the last couple of years, even with Eli, they had a problem with it. It's been about a decade plus the Giants have had a quarterback problem.
And he's a perfect bridge quarterback.
Yep.
So he protects the jobs of the people that are in danger of losing their jobs, and they have the capital to give the Rams an enticing offer straight up. You're not losing picks down the line. If it's 1-for-1 and the whole thing, you get Stafford, you're able to sign and trade the whole thing and get some value out of him. And then also, they have talent offensively. Like, they have receivers. Their offensive line stinks, but their defensive line is great.
Yep.
If they're able to just forget about the quarterback for a second and then retool elsewhere, I'm not saying they could turn around, but it would make it look better for Shane and Dable, who are in a lot of trouble, a lot of hot water to begin with.
Are you surprised that the Rams are going this route? Because I remember I asked you and CCAT early on in the year, and you guys didn't light me up, but I nonetheless asked, are the Rams maybe thinking about moving forward? I thought it was a little soon.
I think this is about getting value out of it rather than
waiting.
A dislike of paying him.
Okay.
I don't think I think it's just getting value out of it. I think they're trying to think like a franchise a la the San Francisco 49ers, who are able to think kind of years in advance. Same with the Packers. Think a couple years in advance, down the line, future, retool either way, because they have stability. And that stability and infrastructure that the Rams have, that I would say 95% of teams in the NFL don't have, I think that allows them to kind of think in a 3-year period rather than think about next year. The Giants don't have that luxury.
Yep.
The Giants are sitting there thinking, all right, if we don't figure it out by October 15th, we're in a lot of trouble. On the other side, the Rams, all right, well, it might be ugly for 6 weeks, but if we could get rid of Stafford and then all of a sudden we need a bridge quarterback, there's a couple options here. You could go Darnold and give him the money, or I think going for Rodgers is the right move.
To the Rams.
Rodgers.
And
you
all
don't have
of
to give up picks for him. You'd have to pay him money, sure, in the short term, but you'd also have an extra amount of picks because he shipped out Stafford. He would work with McVay. There's no doubt about that. There's LaFleur connections there.
Yep.
And it's a good team. It's L.A. I think Rodgers.
New York to L.A., baby.
It's just a protected job, and he would do well.
So
with Stafford. That's the right move.
You like that more than Pittsburgh for Aaron Rodgers?
I do at this point. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and
it's a better coach.
I think it's a better team too. Maybe some Steeler fans out there wouldn't admit that. I think the Rams are a better team. They won a playoff game.
The Steelers are in a position where it would be a good spot too. But the way I look at that is the Rams are better than the Steelers are now as in terms of a location because of the coach, and that their Steelers don't have the assets to go get Stafford. Or at least comparatively to the Giants.
The ultimate thing, both teams, the Steelers and the Rams, something the Steelers have struggled for a while, and obviously not the Rams because they've had Stafford. You got to figure out that next step at quarterback. The Steelers haven't been able to do it since Roethlisberger, and I think I too am surprised that the Rams are going this route this early with Stafford in his career after the season he just had. But maybe the Rams are looking at Pittsburgh and going, we don't want to be them. We don't want this guy to retire or be done, and we don't have a plan. This is them making steps to make sure that this could be a fluid situation of from Stafford to the next guy. And I'm fascinated to see what they do. If it's going to be the draft, if they trade up, if it is going to be Aaron Rodgers, if it is going to be a Sam Darnold. Why do I think it's Darnold? Why do I think it's Darnold?
Because Kevin O'Connell is a McVay disciple.
Yeah.
That I think if they Stafford, one of two things would be there. Rodgers would be in the building within a day, or Darnold would be in the building within a day. Now, Darnold is younger. Darnold probably gives him a little bit more long-term stability, and they'd probably have to give him a 3-year contract. But I think as some insurance beyond Darnold, they could get that 4th pick in the draft if they're able to ship him to somewhere like New York, trade, get assets, and then all of a sudden you have a bunch of assets in next year's draft, which with a ton of good quarterbacks.
Right.
And all of a sudden, if Darnold is shaky throughout the year, then you have an opportunity to go get a rookie quarterback and then have a little bit of a baton handoff with Darnold the next guy.
And I know Jaden Daniels has had an incredible year, but I feel like the trend of the NFL with young quarterbacks is getting them and sitting them for a couple of years. And there's no better guy to trust than McVay to sit a quarterback behind Stafford for a couple of years.
It's a proactive situation because it gives them a couple opportunities, a couple different avenues that they could go.
Right.
Stafford, it's either Stafford healthy, Stafford good, Rams good, or nothing. This, they could either go Stafford here, Stafford there, and then we get Darnold in, Rodgers here, Rodgers there, rookie quarterback there. They got a couple more options, a little bit of nuance in how they could handle it. So whether they think that's a good thing or a bad thing, I think they're being proactive. And I think there are a select few franchises that could get away with doing that. Les Snead, a great general manager. Sean McVay, who is an excellent top 3 head coach in the entire NFL. They have that long-term stability that allows them to make moves like this.
Right.
And whether it's the right move or not, I mean, I would run it back with Stafford personally. But I see the vision in terms of capitalizing on some sort of value. They don't want to pay him. Maybe his wife doesn't like L.A. Maybe he doesn't love L.A., the whole thing.
And remember the last time they made a big move, they won a Super Bowl. And you mentioned the picks. They were in draft hell.
Staying with Goff was the safe move, and they didn't do that, and they made a move. So they went and got Jalen Ramsey, too. So that's what they do.
Colin, I think they looked at that playoff run and said, all right, how do we get better? And maybe this is the first step of them getting better and making a big splash to get that team to be a true competitor. Not saying they're not a competitor in the NFC, but a true Super Bowl contender with the likes of the Eagles and I guess we got to say Commanders now, right? But we'll see what happens. It's very, very important that they get this thing right, though. I go back to what I said early on in this segment. They got to get this right, because if they get rid of Stafford and they get it wrong, there will be a lot of, I guess, angry Ram fans. Or are there Ram fans out there, Colin? But if they get rid of Stafford and the plan is not what it is, there's going to be trouble. But you trust the guys like McVay.
It's not like you're trading
Doncic,
who's got 15 years left in his career. You're trading a guy who has
who did that
1 to 2 years tops in his career, but probably before he hangs up, at least from my perspective.
How does this maybe do the New Orleans Saints start to look at themselves in the mirror? Do other teams who have these veteran quarterbacks start to look at themselves?
Stafford's a top 6 player
good.
at the position.
Yeah, he's good. But does it maybe kick him into gear? Like, all right, we got to do something here.
I think it's dependent on the franchise. Rams have allotted themselves the freedom to think in 3-year blocks. That a lot of NFL teams can't do it. The Packers can do this. The Niners can do this. that type of stability.
The good organizations.
It's the stability and infrastructure is there.